Hey y'all, my name is Ashley and I am a 13th year going into my 14th year of teaching in Texas. And today we are doing our scope and sequence. So we've pretty much planned out all of our scope and sequence. I'll walk you through it in the end, but one of the teachers that's here doesn't know I have a YouTube video channel, so I don't really want to do it all in front of her. But we have our scope and sequence pretty much ready. I am printing things out because I'm trying to prep my writing folders next year as well, like prep all the stuff for it, so that way when we get the folders I can just go. So we're doing that. But yeah, we've pretty much planned everything out. We've got our reading done, our writing, our phonics, our grammar, and I've planned out all my books. I think I'm just gonna keep the same books from last year because I really enjoyed them and really like them, so we'll see. But we're gonna keep plugging away and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna walk you through our scope and sequence and kind of explain and go over things because I want you to be able to know how to do this on your own. So what we did is we basically, no, you're fine. Okay, so the way that we did it is we used our HMH as a guide. So we didn't, I didn't strictly say, this is what we're doing, this is how HMH is doing it, we're doing it perfectly fine, because as I've done this many years, there's a lot of things that HMH just doesn't cover. We're also supplementing with Heggerty for our structured literacy because we feel like the phonemic awareness of HMH sucks. So we're going to use the Heggerty phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, and all that stuff to help supplement. And I think that will be a lot better this year. And then I'm still doing my same read alouds the same way I've always done them. I'm not changing those. I really enjoy those. And then we pulled in the academic vocabulary from Lead Forward because our principal really wants us to include all that. So we're doing that academic vocabulary. So I have that included. And then we're doing our writing from, I cannot remember who she is. Susan Jones, I wanted to say, is who we got our writing from. And we're doing her writing, but she doesn't have grammar with it, which is kind of annoying. So we're still sticking with the grammar from our HMH. I'm double checking that it is Susan Jones, but I'm pretty sure it's Susan Jones that we're using. Yeah, Susan Jones is who we're using for our writing. And we're just pulling in the grammar from our HMH grammar. We have this big pack that my teammate bought that we are going to go through and use from TPT. And then, I'm trying to think. Handwriting, we're going to go, honestly, our structured literacy has handwriting in that we're writing specific letters every single week, so we're going to practice that. I am going to find like a handwriting poem or something for each one to do. And I can't remember who it is. That someone had mentioned using, but I'm going to show you kind of what ours looks like, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so this is our scope and sequence for this year. So the way that we did it is I have all the teaks for our skills here. Whatever skill we're focusing on, so like you can see author's purpose, and then any vocabulary that goes with that teak, and like academic vocabulary. And then I have the read aloud I'm going to do, the theme of that read aloud. So for example, Lou is believe in yourself, and then I have the character trait that goes along with it, and any vocabulary for that book goes there. This all follows the retelling pack that I use, so that's where I get most of that from. The sight words that go with our HMH structured literacy, our structured literacy phonics, the Heggerty that we're going to be doing to, like I told y'all, because we don't like the phonological awareness part of the HMH, so we're doing the Heggerty to compensate for that. The writing that we're doing this year, because we hate the HMH writing, it's horrible. And then the grammar, we are going to follow the grammar in the HMH because the grammar in our Susan Jones doesn't have a grammar to go with it. So, and then we did include handwriting here that is pulled from our phonics. Now, I will say Susan Jones doesn't include two of the things that we are supposed to teach, is thank you notes and letters. So we just threw those in at the end, and we'll teach those to the kids ourselves. But this covers all of the other teaks that we have to have, and then we'll just add in those in down there. So that is how, and then of course, my teammate that I switch with, my switch partner, has all of her math and then her science and social studies here, so I can kind of we can kind of correlate together and do things like that. And then this year we're adding themes. So we're going to do 2 theme days every 6 weeks. So we're going to do popcorn and camping for the first. And then we have Apple Day, Glow Day, and then Halloween. Oh, we have 3. That's okay. We have Space Day, Turkey Day. And we have a lot here because we wanted to fit in all these. North Pole and gingerbread. We have Penguin, 100th Day, Pirate Day. I guess we're doing 3 each time. Circus, Picnic, Leprechaun, Zoo, Lemonade, Star Wars, and Beach Day. So those are the themes that we're going to try and include. We've already purchased our stuff for popcorn and camping and Apple and Glow and our Halloween, I think we have all of these so far. So we're ahead of schedule right now for all that. But this is what we're doing. I am pulling up my ABC Bootcamp right now so I can kind of see what I have for those, because that's what I'm going to try and do the second week so we can just talk about like our letters and stuff. Okay, so that's pretty much our scope and sequence. Like, we just used our curriculum to help us guide us through, and the reason we do it this way instead of just using the scope and sequence in our curriculum is because it doesn't have one. So it has like each module has its own like scope and sequence of what it has, but like overall HMH doesn't come up with a scope and sequence for the whole year, and I like to see my whole year all at once. And then the reason I have it like color coded is because I section it off into different sections. Like, this is the first 6 weeks, the second 6 weeks, the third 6 weeks. So that's how I do it. But we're done. We started planning for the 6 weeks probably about 2 hours ago. So the scope and sequence in total, because we've done this a couple years now, if you need to remember, your first year you do this, it's gonna take you a long time. There's a lot of moving parts. You're having to think about a lot of things. You're having to plug things in. There was 3 of us working on it. Me and the other reading teacher kind of like split duties. And then the math teacher, she did a lot of her science social studies that were the same from last year, so she just copied and pasted. And then her math, I think she just tweaked just a little bit, but pretty much the same from last year for her. So it didn't take us as long. Last year, it literally took us 2 days to get through the whole scope and sequence because we were both doing brand new things. This year didn't take as long. But you gotta remember that when you're doing it, like, it does take quite some time, and you gotta be prepared to have it take that time. But we are done planning for the day. I am here till 5:30. I am going to get some things done in my classroom, and I will kind of, I guess, show you just so this vlog is a little bit longer. But first, I'm gonna go in her room and work in our art cart. Okay, there's a couple things I wanted to say about the scope and sequence, just for if you're a new teacher. I wouldn't stress over it too hard. Our district does not make us do a scope and sequence. I do this purely for me because I like to see and like to know my year. But the school does not, it's not something that the school requires us to do. Sorry, my hands are a little dirty because I was cleaning a couple things. It's not something that the school makes us do. It's not something that we even have to turn in. It's literally for me and my sanity. Some districts do require it, some districts don't. It just depends on whatever district you go into. And honestly, I'm in a small district. So this past year was the first year that I ever had like ever since we've been departmentalized, it's the first, not departmentalized, yeah. It's been the first year that I actually had like someone to work with on reading. All the years before, I've been the only reading teacher. So I haven't had anyone to bounce ideas off and stuff. You might go into your district and they might already have a scope and sequence done and say, hey, this is what we do. And a lot of districts give you a scope and sequence, at least around the area that I live in. I know some of the schools that are in a different town, they are given their scope and sequence, and that is what they have to live by. They don't get to make it. It's what they are given. Our school doesn't do that. We don't even have to have the scope and sequence. It's just something that makes me feel better. So that's what we do. And we do it for writing, reading, and phonics. I have it all for all of that. And then centers is just kind of based on wherever we're doing in that, which helps me plan out my centers. So one of the things that I do when I am doing our scope and sequence is I look at the current curriculum we have, and I know our curriculum. I've used it for years, so this is really easy for me, but I look at the curriculum I have and I try and go by that, especially your first couple years. Just go by whatever curriculum you use. And then after that, I would use it for a good solid 2 years. And then after that, I would kind of, maybe your second year, start making adjustments. And your third year, you can just really see, hey, I don't like this. This is what I need to do. Pull in your supplementals, whatever you need to do to make it work for you. But that's what I'm doing. That's what I do. My first couple years that we got this HMH, I used it like verbatim. And then I slowly just started making corrections as the years have gone on and making it what I need and what works best in my classroom. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. But I am going to work in my room a little bit more because I cannot leave here until 5:25. But that is basically it for our scope and sequence. We have done everything for it. I am going to go. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Bye, y'all.